It was a secret mission. This was April 2nd, 3rd, so the war ended in May. And he was told, if you get caught, we have to disavow this, you were AWOL. If you're killed, you don't get any life insurance. Your family doesn't get any life insurance. So you're on your own. No ID, no identification. You go in, you get out. Will you do it? He said, I'll do it.
Sounds like a movie plot, but that secret mission carried out by a Louisiana soldier led to the rescue of some pretty famous names. The man responsible later became a professor at LSU. The story of a stranger-than-fiction military career wasn't put together by his son until after his father's death in 2003.
We knew he had a bunch of medals in his office, and he had a bunch of photographs from generals that signed like to a fighting man, to the best soldier I've ever fought with. And it's like, but he never talked about the war.
Like most of the men who survived the battlefields of World War II, Philip Larimore left his war stories behind. It wasn't until he had been married 50 years and his children had grown that Philip began to speak about what happened over there.
And the stories, quite frankly, were unbelievable. Stories of hopping on the back of a tank to rescue a squad. Stories of shooting snipers out of trees at 100 yards with a 50 caliber machine gun.
Walt had to find out, so he dove into his father's life.
He was a ruffian, a hooligan, and a delinquent, so his mama, his mom and dad both worked, and so they sent him to military school.
Philip graduated Gulf Coast Military Academy and headed off to officer candidate school. He was commissioned a second lieutenant on his 18th birthday, the youngest officer ever in the U.S. Army. From there, it was off to the 30th Infantry and the trenches of Anzio.
He had gone there, he said, to kick the Heil out of Hitler, you know, for liberty and freedom and battle and warrior and hero. But at that first night, he realized he was there for his men.
It was Philip's job to supply those men on the front lines. A conversation with a farmer he met led Philip to change the way the entire Army moved ammo for the rest of the war.
So the farmer said, these mules are smarter than horses. They know where mines are and they'll avoid them.
The 30th Infantry liberated Rome, Sicily, and drove the Nazis from the Vosges Mountains.
They fought 513 days without a stop. Dad fought 413 of those.
Philip was wounded 7 different times in that fighting.
He was awarded 7 Purple Hearts. He turned down 3 of them because he said the wounds weren't significant enough.
Philip wasn't finished. The conversation with that Italian farmer set him on a path for a secret mission behind enemy lines.
So this pudgy little guy who wanted to develop the perfect race also wanted to develop the perfect horse for the perfect race.
Turns out the perfect horse is the world-famous Lipizzaner stallion. Because of his experience with the mules, the Army asked Philip to verify the existence of the form and the horses.
And they had a steeplechase course set up, and so the vet bet him he couldn't beat him on a steeplechase, and they raced a steeplechase. And Dad's story was he won the steeplechase.
Shortly after that, General Patton authorized Operation Cowboy to rescue the last remaining Lipizzaners in the world. Philip returned to his platoon and was shot from the back of a tank as he attempted to rescue his squad from an ambush. He later lost his leg and was discharged from the Army. By then, he had received every Medal of Valor except the Medal of Honor.
But he never talked about those medals. He never talked about those battles. And a lot of the men were like that. They fought for freedom, they fought for liberty, but when they came home, they wanted to live life.
Story brought to you by Rick Porche. Now, live is exactly what Philip did after the war. He raised 4 sons and put the LSU cartography department on the map. He gained a national reputation for producing high-quality historical maps and graphics. You can read all about his service, his incredible story in Walt's new book, At First Light. Jay.